Security is on high alert this weekend, not only in Times Square, but all over the country. And here with a look at what officials are doing to keep this city and the country safe as a whole, our New York City Police Commissioner Ray Kelly and CBS News senior correspondent John Miller, who has worked for the FBI and the New York Police Department. Thanks to both of you for coming in this morning. Sincerely appreciated. And Commissioner Kelly, I want to start with you. Seth mentioned it. There's going to be 1 million people, possibly even more, in Times Square. What kind of precautions is New York City taking?
Well, we're doing a lot, as you can imagine. We're using several thousand police officers, as we do, every year. But we always put a little twist on it. We have what we call a counterterrorism overlay. Observation posts are manned. You saw in your setup piece, radiation detectors are used. We'll use our mounted officers. Out on the water, we have 33 dinner cruises, and our harbor launches will be protecting them. Our aviation units, as I said, will be in the air. We have a very comprehensive package that I think all things will go well. We do this every year. I think we do it well, but we have to be on alert. It's just, the world in our post 9/11 era.
And we've seen it in Times Square before with the car bomb in 2010.
Precisely.
How big of a deal is it that it's warm and we might see more people? Is that a potential issue for the NYPD?
Well, we expect large crowds, but you're right. I think this could be a record crowd. The weather is going to be relatively mild for this time of year. We handle this on a regular basis, but all indications are it's going to be a happy and festive event. There's no specific threats directed towards New York City.
Covering the rest of the globe and the rest of the country, John, you have this long track record in law enforcement and security. Where are the biggest security spots? Where are the zones that we need to have the biggest protection this holiday?
Well, Times Square, as the commissioner said, is pretty much from a threat perspective ground zero because it's a huge televised event. If you created an attack in Times Square, of course, you wouldn't have to garner coverage for it. It's all there live. So that is why that is such a protected event. Beyond that, of course, the aviation sector and the transportation sector for the holiday travel are going to be the places where you're going to see increased scrutiny at the airports, more surveillance around the trains.
How about the hubs? I mean, are there particular travel centers that are a bigger issue for law enforcement this time of year than others?
Well, certainly hubs that are places where things are coming in internationally. We have to consider that from the 2009 Christmas bombing. But also major cities like New York that also have large New Year's events. One of the things about the New York Times Square package is it's a hard target. And there are other events in other places that when you look at what the NYPD does here, you say, why not go to another city where there's less of that?
Al-Qaeda tends to target certain events, certain dates. And with the killing of Osama bin Laden, it's my understanding that in the papers that we were able to retrieve, they put high value on targeting cities in the United States during big holidays. What does that mean for this New Year's?
From the intelligence gleaned in Abbottabad, some of bin Laden's own notes directed towards his people said that significant dates to plan around attacks would be July 4th, Christmas, New Year's, and the September 11th anniversary. These were his picks for symbolic dates. So you certainly have to factor that in when you're doing your nationwide threat assessment in terms of aviation, transportation, large events, that's a factor.
Commissioner Kelly, one last question for you, and that is how long will the heightened security be in effect in New York City?
Well, obviously, it's focused on midnight tonight. We'll keep additional officers in place through the day, through the morning, and it'll go down fairly quickly after that. But we have a heightened state of readiness here all the time. We see ourselves as being on the top of the terrorist target list, so we have to do more than other places. I think everyone recognizes that, and we do. It's an expensive undertaking for us, but we see no alternative.
Well, you certainly feel it. As someone in New York City, you can feel the heightened security at all times. Commissioner Kelly, John Miller, thanks so much. By the way, you can catch John Miller when CBS This Morning begins airing January 9th. Thanks to both of you. Right. Happy New Year. Hope it's a healthy, safe one for both of you.
Bye.